I've been bringing this up in the last couple of days, but why the president can sometimes get in his own way with tweets and comments that have nothing to do with the issues that are very winnable for him at hand, including infrastructure, including a big old tax cut, health care reform. All of those pull very, very well if you buy that sort of thing. And that when the president sticks to that agenda and doesn't go off base talking about, let's say, the mayor of London in the middle of a shooting spree weekend, he is better serving himself and the Republican Party. Republicans agree, have said, a number of them, including Senator Cornyn of Texas, saying that every minute the president devotes to those type of things is 1 minute less that could be devoted to things like the tax cuts, like the health care fix, like what he's doing in Cincinnati, this big infrastructure push. To former Trump New York campaign co-chair Joe Borelli, Independent Women's Forum's Patrice, Onwuka, and the Hill's Melanie Zanona. All right, Melanie, and with you, begin with you. Is it your sense, because I got into a heap of controversy with this, that the president is distracting himself and the party's message when he does go off on these tangents? That I'm perfectly fine with his tweeting, but I think he should stick to subjects that he wants to tweet about and continue the debate about, presumably his winning issues like infrastructure, like tax cuts, like health care. When he veers off on these other things, personal attacks and others, he's hurting himself. What do you think?
Well, Neil, I think that's exactly right. And I think a lot of Democrats and Republicans would agree with you. You know, the White House kicked off Infrastructure Week on Monday with this big event in the East Room unveiling some air traffic control reforms. But by the time everyone woke up on Monday, the narrative had already taken hold on all the news stations that Trump had tweeted all over the weekend and all morning, you know, reigniting attacks with the media and the mayor, and it was a distraction. So, you know, while he has this big initiative that could really gain some bipartisan support, he's only further driving Democrats away from working with him on this issue, and they're just losing their appetite. You know, they see the chaos. And
yeah, you hope it's limited. Patrice, and first of all, I apologize for calling you Patrick, but Patrice, do you get a sense that when the president's on message, I think he's on fire? When he veers off that message, particularly with nasty attacks, as he did with the London mayor, the timing was at the very least bad. He hurts himself and sets that agenda back and worries fellow Republicans. When he's on focus like this today, I know others will focus on what's coming up tomorrow with Comey and all, but he is more likely to get things done. What do you think?
I do agree with that. I mean, let's look at the reason why Americans put him into office. They were looking for jobs, and the fact that he's in Ohio today, Ohio lost almost 10,000 construction and manufacturing jobs in the months of March and April. So what Americans want to hear is his plan to get them back to work. And that's a great agenda that I think he has, but there are the distractions of the tweeting and kind of taking on fights that you don't really need to take on. But to the point for some of your other interviews about leaks, you know, the number of leaks that we're seeing in this administration certainly is contributing and undermining him substantially.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. Joe Borelli, now you work in the campaign, and the president has said, you know, well, you smarty pants in the media and the critics and Democrats, you didn't think I had a chance to get here. So who are you to judge what I'm doing now? He makes a valid point, but again, it is very different governing than campaigning. And I'm just wondering whether he can get together the type of folks he will need and the number he will need when he seems distracted a lot of the time.
Well, look, you know, even today we saw with the president getting off Air Force One, meeting with some Obamacare victims. He's approaching issues like health care on a two-pronged approach. He's trying to change the message around Obamacare from that the Republicans are taking away health care to that the Democrats have been a disaster on health care. And he's also meeting with congressional leaders we saw at the White House last night on issues. I think this president can walk and chew gum at the same time. And I think, as you alluded to...
He doesn't. That's what worries me. That sometimes, I mean, you're right. He does all these things. They get very little press, by the way. They get press here. He meets with CEOs more than any president has ever in their terms, and that is just in the first 4 or 5 months of his administration.
But Neil,
do you think that he then gets sidetracked? Now, I'm not saying there's ample reason to get sidetracked, that, you know, that this thing is something that is always eating away there, but I do think it does distract him.
Look, I certainly think some of those tweets did not help. I think of, maybe 9 out of 10 tweets are good. That one always gets him. But even if he was sticking to his agenda, as we saw this week with the air traffic control, with VA policy changes, most networks are covering round-the-clock coverage of the build-up to this Comey hearing. So whether he behaves in a way that they think he should or not, we don't see the media focused on a lot of the things he is doing.
All right, guys. In fact, one of them has a countdown clock.
Yeah, indeed.
All right. Guys, thank you all very, very much.